is what's been going on, what happened with mine, and we couldn't figure out, there's no workaround for it. My camera and audio works perfectly fine until I try to connect to WebEx. Then it just won't let me do it. Shuts it out. So I'll have to get IS, but nobody else's computers are doing that, so it's kind of weird. But so, and unfortunately, no access to the PowerPoints for my conditional use permits, but they're pretty straightforward. Everything's in the packets. Whenever you're ready, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm already got everything set up.
Okay. So we're ready to go.
Yep.
Claude, we're ready. And somebody just started knocking at the door. So hold on a second. Is that Claude? Did you just knock or what? Okay, sorry.
Claude, you need to unmute.
He needs to. You need to unmute. Still on mute.
Yeah.
Nope.
Now you can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize. He was gaveling and it sounded like somebody was knocking at our front door.
Well, you guys confiscated my gavel.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
it is now 7:13. I call the May 4th, 2021 regular meeting of the Franklin County Planning Commission meeting to order. Before we get to the meeting, I will turn things over to staff to discuss meeting format.
Thank you, Chair. Tonight's meeting will be conducted through an online virtual meeting platform. Planning commissioners and staff are joining us remotely in order to comply with Governor Inslee's, I don't know if this is still the accurate proclamation, but it's the last one we're operating under, 20.28.14 as it relates to the Open Public Meeting Act during the COVID-19 state of emergency. Should an individual planning commissioner become unexpectedly disconnected, please rejoin the meeting at your first opportunity. The record will reflect your attendance. The meeting will be paused for up to 10 minutes to address technical difficulties. If they cannot be resolved within 10 minutes, then the meeting will proceed so long as a quorum of planning commissioners are present. Please activate your mute button at the bottom of your computer screen when not speaking. As a reminder, if you are watching the meeting on YouTube Live and wish to comment or need clarification on a public hearing item, and I'm sorry, this is to the general public attending, send us an email at planninginquiry, all one word, at co.franklin.wa.us before the public comment period closes. That's on the specific subject that you're interested in commenting on. Once public comment period is closed on said item, comments will not be included as part of the discussion. And turn that back over to you, Chair.
Will the planning staff please call roll call and announce whether or not we have a quorum?
Okay, as an FYI, our secretary, our regular secretary is not attending, so I'll be doing that too. So, Mike Vincent,
Present.
Roger Lank,
You got to unmute, Roger.
Present.
Leighton Lowe,
Here.
Claude Pierrette,
Present.
Kent McMullen,
Present.
Mike Corrales,
Present.
Melinda Didier.
Here.
Chair, we have a quorum. In fact, we have full attendance.
Okay. If someone will produce a flag, I will lead us in the pledge of allegiance of the flag.
Hold on.
There's one behind
I
Roger.
got one behind Roger there.
Yeah, let's
Would
do the
would you
roll
just use that? Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America,
America
Republic for which it stands,
stands
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting, which is 5 items.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Who was that?
That was Leighton.
Leighton, okay? And
This is
seconded,
Commissioner Lake. I'll second that motion.
okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Lowe and seconded by Commissioner Link. All in favor? Say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It passed. It is now time for the public hearing portion of our meeting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I will turn things briefly over to our staff host, who will go over the ground rules for tonight's hearing.
I'll go ahead and do this, Aaron.
All right.
Oh, you on?
Oh, yeah, I guess I am. All
Yeah.
right.
We're getting bad echo, but all right.
Uh-oh. Yeah. I guess we'll do. Okay, sorry. So here are the ground rules for tonight's virtual WebEx hearing. All speakers will be called upon individually during the public testimony portion of the hearing, giving their name for the audio record, as well as they are in favor, neutral, or against the proposal. Please mute your audio when you're not speaking. All comments and questions shall be addressed to the Planning Commission and should be relevant to the application and not be of a personal nature. Each speaker shall have 5 minutes to provide testimony. Please avoid repetitive comments. If there are a large number of speakers or are part of a group organization, please select a representative to speak on behalf of the group. Behavior such as clapping, booing, hissing, or remarks is prohibited. Every citizen here tonight should have an opportunity to testify without such distractions.
Are there any questions regarding the public hearing ground rules? Okay, hearing none. Turning for a moment to our commission members, let us keep in mind that we are prohibited by law from communicating with members of the public on the subject matter of these hearings, except in these hearings. We also may not participate in a decision in which there is an appearance of conflict of interest to the average person. So let us take a minute to consider as to the matters which are before us for hearing today. Whether we had any ex parte communications, whether we have any ownership interest in the properties, whether we have any business dealings with the proponents or opponents of the matters, or whether we have business associates or immediate family who may be either benefited or harmed by the decision of these matters. Are there any commission members who have a declaration at this time regarding any of the items on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Lake. I have 2 declarations. I understand the comprehensive plan is specifically exempt as a quasi-judicial matter and from the appearance of fairness doctrine. However, to ensure that all planning commissioners are dealing with the same information, it is my personal policy to follow both for all matters before us. First, I obtained an unsolicited email from Tracy Liebert with the subject line comprehensive plan. I did not open it and I did not read it. And I submitted a written declaration to that effect. Second, I received an unsolicited telephone call from Mr. Liebert yesterday. He attempted to pose questions. I cut him off, advising him of my personal policy and to direct his questions to the planning department, who would review and forward them to us. I again filed a written declaration of that conversation. Neither of these items would disqualify me nor have any impact on my ability to render a recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any objections of Commissioner Link participating? Okay, hearing none.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I would like to just state that I had exactly the same experience with Mr. Libbert that Commissioner Link did. So I would like to just have that out there. And if anyone objects to me being a part of this process, please, let me know.
Okay, just a second. We're going to take a minute and we have various folks that have called in. Aaron's going to check with them to see if any members of the public have an issue.
So, all right. Here, I just want that. All right, so I guess start with Andrew Libbert here.
It's my turn.
Andrew, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
All right, do you, I guess, sorry, just trying to find the question. Do you have any objection to any commissioner hearing any of the items on the agenda, or?
I do not.
Okay. And then, yeah, Cody Fielding, do you have any objections?
No, I don't.
Hello?
He says no.
No? Okay. So we got Flo Sayer. Do you have any objections? Are you there?
I am here. I can't, I have no
Okay.
objections to any of it.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. And then I got Jeff and Vicky Gordon. Do you have any objections or?
No, we don't have any objections.
Okay, cool.
Is that everybody?
So Jeff McKee. I don't know, I'm trying to think. Oh, okay.
Just know that everything you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. Jeff, do you have any objections?
I do not.
Okay, sorry. And then I think the last one here is Tracy Libbert here. Do you have any objections?
I have no objections.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then everybody else is just observers. So.
Yep.
All right, so proceed.
No objections, right?
Correct.
Okay, we'll move on. The order of the hearing shall be as follows. Planning staff shall provide a staff report. The commission may ask questions of staff. The applicant or applicant's representative presentation, public testimony for, against, or neutral regarding the project. And final staff comments, clarification of public statements that occurred during the testimony portion of the public hearing, close the public hearing and planning commission discussion of the proposed action. Are there any procedure questions before we begin the public hearing? Okay, hearing none. I will move to item 1. Is a public hearing for file CPA 2018-01, CPA 2018-02, CPA 2018-03, and CPA 2018-04. Franklin County 2018 Comprehensive Plan Periodic Update Modifications to the Urban Growth Areas. Staff, are there any additional people logging in to seek comment on this matter?
No, it's pretty much the same, folks. I don't see anybody new.
Okay. I declare the hearing for the Franklin County 2018 Comprehensive Plan Update Modification to Urban Growth Area to be open. 7:26, and that's the gavel. May we have a staff present the staff report, please?
Our presenter got bumped knocked off for some reason. I just got a text from Nicole. So
She was on earlier.
I know what we think is that he used her link and it only so Rick's on, okay. So Aaron's gonna send her a quick link to get, oh no. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Is there a limit? It wouldn't be at 17 though.
Yeah, I thought there would be more than that,
Yeah.
but let me.
So can you just send her another link?
If it helps Derek, this is Matt.
Yep.
I will log in and come in as an attendee as opposed to a panelist.
Yeah, but 17 seems an odd number, but and I don't know, would that help? We're gonna try sending her a link to see if she can just reconnect. We have never had these problems. This is just weird.
Because it doesn't auto.
What phase do we have to be in order to meet in person? Or
It's gonna be a while.
I told you if we can become, well, okay, I won't go there. It's stage 4, or phase 4, not stage 4.
right.
Phase 4, which my understanding is right now we're on a pause. Nobody's moving anywhere for at least 2 weeks. At least we didn't go backwards. This is just an unusual amount of issues. We don't normally have this going on. Is it, you're able to at least get
Yeah, I
something?
sent it to her. so
Okay.
I don't answer.
Okay. All right. She's trying. Technology. Where there's a will, there's a way. And we have a lot of different ways, but
So we're waiting for Nicole to log on.
yeah. So she got the link. She's trying it. Hmm. Still not. What we got here? We got 15, 18 people.
Maybe. Maybe it is something like that.
Hey, Matt, can you go ahead and try that?
I'll do it. I'll log out right now.
I could do the same as well if you need me to.
Well, let's see whether it even works. This is strange.
Looks like Nicole's here. Let me make her panelist.
Okay, that might have been what it was. Are you with us, Nicole?
I am.
Yeah, we think we might have hit overload. We have 18 people on.
Understood. Okay.
And so Matt's now observing.
All right. Yeah, I had a connection, but it no longer gave me any audio or video or audio privileges. I was just listening to you all. So I tried to quickly reconnect and sorry, it took a little bit there.
That's similar to what I'm having an issue with too on my systems. I don't know what's going on with it. But anywho, you're here.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay, thank you so much. Should I proceed then?
Go right
Yes,
ahead.
please.
Okay.
Or
I will
something
do
else
that.
goes wrong.
Okay, so we are at a very important and exciting stage now with our update. We've been going at this for some time, and now it's ready. We feel like we're ready for the Planning Commission to make a recommendation and move forward with this. Just before I begin, when I got cut off, there were still some declarations going on. And just as a reminder, this is not a quasi judicial matter. This is legislative. So any of these discussions, it's pretty free flowing. We're making a decision that's, or we're helping the Board of County Commissioners to make a decision that affects everyone in the county. So of course, everyone is potentially affected by this. And so you don't have to do any disclosures really in the same way that you would do a quasi judicial hearing. So just wanted to put everyone at ease with those issues. So I'm going to jump right in and just remind you a little bit about what's happened in the last couple months. So back in January, we, during one of our meetings. Oh, and it looks like I can't share my screen. So maybe Aaron can try to give me those privileges and then I'll do that. I'll proceed with that once it's available. Anyhow, cool, thank you. Back in January, we had a hearing on January 19th, and that was when we were looking at the whole document, the whole comprehensive plan update as it had been presented at that time. And it was long. It was a lot of paper that we mailed out to you folks or put on online for folks to see. And I'm going to share my screen right now to show you, remind you what that was like. So this is the first page of the staff report here. Let me try again. I don't think I quite got that shared. There we go. You can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So this is the fact sheet that we had from that date. We had a hyperlink to the library of all the materials that are available online. I'll show our website here in a few more minutes. And this just gave a quick summary of everything that had happened and some high level stuff reminding the Planning Commission about growth in Franklin County, our extensive public engagement process. We had compiled a list of all of the dates and different topics that we went through with various workshops and so forth. And then we honed in on a couple particular topics pertaining to the land use map, to private party requests, and then also UGA adjustment requests, both from Connell to increase by 280 acres, and then the Pasco UGA expansion, which would be 3,448 acres. Then we did a little analysis. We made our recommendation as staff. We wrote that if the department accepts the City of Pasco's UGA expansion and recommends approval, or excuse me, the department accepts the UGA expansion application and recommends approval of that. We also recommended approval of the Connell expansion. But we did have two little areas that we think should be excluded in the Pasco UGA expansion. So you'll remember, I believe, that discussion from January. We also outlined that we had completed our notice requirements to the State Department of Commerce and also to the Benton Franklin Council of Governments. I do have an update on that item because just this week I heard from, maybe it was the end of last week, real recently here, I heard from the Benton Franklin Council of Governments that they have done their staff review. And so they've given us the check mark, the go ahead in terms of the transportation element and the related appendix that they reviewed. So we are in good shape for that. And then we had our recommendation. And then lastly, and this is the real reason why I'm sharing this right now, is we had some suggested findings of fact. There were 17 in total, and there were some places to fill in, some specifics, in particular, some dates and things that we would fill in. And also item number 6, it would just list out procedural items just to make sure we got the whole list of all the meetings, including tonight. We obviously didn't have the full list of everything. So with that, those were the suggested findings of fact. We did say we'd come back with a final recommendation. of suggested findings, but actually we don't have any changes at this point. So these are still the suggested findings of fact that we're recommending for you this evening. And of course, when this goes to Board of County Commissioners, we'll add in the missing pieces there, which is just the minutia, the dates and such. All right, so moving on, I'm now going to share a little bit about tonight's meeting. So as a reminder, we have this website. Picking you the wrong place there. This is the first page of our website. This is the project update website, and we've been diligently keeping this updated during this whole process. So for anyone who's in the audience who maybe is coming at this new or doesn't know where to find all this information, I would just highlight here on the right hand side, you can click this link and get this document, which is the comp plan update and all of the policy and text recommendations that we have. Coming down a little bit further, you can go to a project review matrix, and it shows all of the comments that came in and our responses to each one. And then all of our SEPA documents are also available just at a quick click. Otherwise, you can browse around. You can look at different things that we've been collecting along the way. And for tonight, I'm just going to click on events here and tonight's public hearing and take you to the memo. So this memo you should have received from Mr. Broughton. This was prepared by us the end of March. And this is just kind of the last little adjustments to the comprehensive plan that we had that we wanted to include. So first, we just reminded the commission that we're suggesting approval of the UG expansion as proposed by the city of Pasco with those 2 minor adjustments. We've talked about that a lot, so I won't go on with that too much, but if there's any questions, of course, I can address those. And then there were some just typos that we corrected, and we just wanted to make sure we let everybody know what those were and keep that very transparent. We changed some phrasing about land characterized by urban growth, just to be extremely clear, and that was a change we made following a comment that we received. And then we had to make some little tweaks and refinements to our transportation element, and a lot of that was based on the feedback we got from the Benton Franklin Council of Governments about their review, making sure that our proposed plan meets up with their plans and all the references are correct. So we've made those changes, and you know that's the changes that we made that subsequently got us the go ahead from their staff. So that's a 2-page memo you should have received, and then attached to that we had our final response matrix. So this included all of the comments through the end of March, or March 29th to be more specific. We did put in our memo that any future comments that came in after this date of March 31st, we'd be not adding it to the matrix, because now it's time to move on to the Planning Commission to reach a decision. Those letters, even though they're not in the matrix, they're still part of the record. So I just want to show you real quick, just in case you missed an email, where you would find that information. So it's under project review items. And I'm going to scroll to the bottom here because everything's date stamped and organized that way. Of course, you can, when you go in for yourself, you can reorganize it. But our last or final version of the response matrix is shown here. And then the memo I just shared is also available for public view. And then these are the comments that trickled in later. So these were, I believe, emailed to the Planning Commission, and they are part of the record. So we just want to make sure that we highlight that. Port of Pasco, comments from Libert Fielding, an email, I believe it's from Mr. Rangel, and a letter from Thanksgiving Living Partnership, if I have that correct. So those were all letters of support, by the way. So I just wanted to share that just to be very clear and be sure everyone knows how to go ahead and get this. And again, this is on our website, project website hosted by EasyView. If you go to the Franklin County website, you'll get a link to it, or you can go direct to the Planning Department website, get a link to it. So with that, that was my fast and furious overview of everything that we've done over the last several years, but really looking closely at how everything's kind of come together in the last couple of months in terms of getting this really ready to go forward with a recommendation, with findings, to go on to the Board of County Commissioners. I know that there might be small items that maybe you would have preference to, you would prefer to see things changed a little bit, or there might be things that are in policy, state policy in particular, that don't line up with your personal views about how growth should proceed. I want to acknowledge that, but I would also encourage the Planning Commission to take that into account and take the whole picture into account when deciding to make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. You may have reservations about parts and pieces, but what we're hoping for is that in general you can achieve a consensus in looking at the work that we've been doing and the public involvement that we've been doing, and say this is benefit to the residents of Franklin County, and the work is complete and ready for consideration by the Board of County Commissioners. So with that, that's all I have to share with you, but I'm happy to answer any questions and remind you about any process details or anything else that might come about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Does the commissioners have any questions of Nicole or staff in general? Okay, does any of the commissioners wish to speak on this? Is there any clarification that needs to be made? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public testimony portion of the public hearing. Is there any discussion amongst the Planning Commission prior to entertaining a motion? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Wait, please, one moment. We have not asked if there's anybody from the public that's looking to speak on this matter. So if we can, before we make a motion, confirm that the public doesn't have any comments, or if they do, what they are.
All right, so I'll start with Andrew Libbert. Do you have any comments?
Yes. First of all, thank you, Nicole, for that, all the work you've been doing, and thanks, Planning Commission, for all your service and all you've been doing, and staff as well. I just let our letter speak for ourselves. I live in Pasco. I've lived here for 5+ years, and when I first bought my house, I had one child. It was a starter home, and it was $257,000. Now my house is approaching $500,000. And I recognize not all of this is due because of the prolongedness of this comprehensive plan, but one way to fix it is to help create more supply. And there's a lot of people out there who can't afford a $500,000 house. And my house is a cookie cutter house. It's nothing special. And so I just offer my full support to get this ball moving forward, so that more supply can come to help those who would like to buy a home in Pasco and Franklin County. And then I have one question, which I'm not sure I can do, but I'm just going to ask. Whenever there's something you disagree with or agree with, typically you can reach out to elected officials to offer your support, or ask them to not support something that you whatever it be. I know Planning Commission members are not elected, but does that same I guess stipulation apply to the Planning Commission? Nicole had mentioned something about how it's not a quasi government issue. I'm not sure what the phrase was there. Are we allowed to reach out just to make sure going forward that we are doing what's allowed, and want to make sure that we're following the rules? Can someone clarify that for me, please?
Yes, you are. Sorry, this is Derek. These are not, like, for example, the next 4 items that are on tonight's agenda are conditional use permits. Those are what are known as quasi judicial actions. Those people can't really talk to the commission or the board about.
Until the hearing.
This is a matter until the hearing, right? Sorry.
Okay.
and then once the hearing's closed, no communication following the public hearing and before the board hears it. This item is a policy item, or a legislative item. It's another way of putting that. This is always envisioned to be a collaborative experience with the public and government. So
Okay.
those restrictions do not apply. However, personal, each commissioner or each board member may have a personal way of approaching it. Hence, Mr. Lank's explanation that for him, he wants everything vetted through us, and then we
Yeah.
kick it out. But there's nothing inappropriate in that outreach. And the commissioners are at no risk of a conflict or anything like that should they engage with the public regarding these items. In fact, it helps inform the process. So it's been set up that way so it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. Thank you very much, Derek. And thank you again, Planning Commission and staff. Appreciate it.
Sorry, kind of trying to balance the things here. And then I guess we'll go with Cody Fielding. Do you have any comments or?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to echo Andrew's comments very much so. I agree with him. It really is a desperate situation. In all sincerity, we need more housing, and we need it 2 years ago. So I would just strongly say, let's vote. Let's get this thing through. Please, please, please. I'm sitting in a house that I bought a few years ago that I couldn't probably afford today. And there's a lot of people that don't have houses. I feel badly for them. We want them to have something comfortable for their families. So that's my vote is to say yes tonight, please. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to balance between. And then I guess Flo Sayer. Do you have any comments?
I would just say the same thing that the others have said, that there's a need and a demand for affordable housing. And so I'm in favor.
All right, cool. So we got Jeff, Vicky, Gordon.
Yeah, we don't have any comment on this. It looks good to me.
Okay. All right. And then Jeff McGee. Do you have any comments? Okay, I guess nothing. Right? Okay. Yeah, I believe that's it. Oh wait, no. There's a Tracy Lippert. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to just
Do
say.
you have any comments, Tracy?
I do, yes, just a couple of comments. First of all, thank you everyone for your service. Just by way of example, a couple of days ago, or a few days ago, I guess late last week, I called someone to see if I could show a house that they had listed, been on the market for maybe 48 hours. And I asked if I could show the house the next day. And they said, we just went under contract an hour or so ago, and there were 24 offers. 24 offers on one house. So 23 people lost. And so there's just this huge need for additional housing, affordable housing. And I've been selling real estate for 20 years. And 8-10 years ago, there were 12 to 1,300 houses listed in the Tri-Cities. Currently, there's 150, with a lot more people than there were, 10 years ago. So the need is real and it's urgent. And so I just urge you to move this process along and recommend adoption of alternative 3 to the County Board of Commissioners. Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, so I think that's it.
Aaron, can you hear me? This is Rick White, City of Pasco.
Yeah, we hear you.
Thank you. May I just very briefly address the commission? The city has spent a considerable and notable amount of time in conjunction with Franklin County staff on preparing the environmental impact statement and the alternatives that go with the comprehensive plan amendment. And we've made this as bulletproof as we can. We expect an appeal of our urban growth expansion area. However, we believe that we've done every single thing that is necessary to make this a viable alternative, even though it seems very expansive. 3,600 acres or so is almost unprecedented. But remember, the city of Pasco is expected to double in size over the next 20 years. We would urge the commission to take into account the considerable amount of work that went into the comprehensive plan process and the EIS, and recommend to the county commissioners adoption of alternative number 3, which is what we've tied our entire water, sewer, and transportation plans into, and hope to provide for accountable growth for Franklin County for the next at least 20 years. Thank you.
Any other comments?
This is Nicole. I just wanted to share that Amy Phillips, president of the school board for the Pasco School District, was hoping to speak tonight. She emailed me and said that she didn't get availability to the platform that we use. In any event, I wrote to her and said, if you can, send me in your comments. I haven't received any, but I just wanted to make note that she had attempted to make some comments on this evening. Thank you.
Anyone else before we entertain a motion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
How do you guys want the motion to go, Derek? Because that's a long one.
Do you have your chairman script
Yeah.
on page 4? There's a recommended motion. Well, sort of. It's basically, we forward to the Board of Commissioners a recommendation of approval. So just leave off the moved and seconded.
I'll make a motion. I move we forward to the Board of County Commission recommendation of approval for CPA 2018-1, CPA 2018-2, CPA 2018-3, and CPA 2018-4. Was there any adopted findings or facts?
Yes, you should say with the adopted findings in the staff report.
Okay.
But I'll also note there are no conditions of approval, so you can skip that part.
All right, so with the adopted findings of fact.
In the staff report.
In the staff report. There we go.
Rick, is there something that we're missing here? I think Rick White wants to speak.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm sorry. I don't want to be a stick in the mud or a cog in the wheel, but now are we talking, is there a particular alternative that the commission would be recommending?
No, Rick, the alternatives are from the EIS, and your application is known as Alternative 3, but that is the proposal for the UG expansion. And staff has recommended that the UG expansion as provided by the city of Pasco be changed with those 2 changes that I've talked about. That is the proposal on the table. That is what has been moved at this point.
Right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay. We need to have a second. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman. This is Commissioner Didier.
Thank you.
Okay, it has been Commissioner Lowe has moved and Commissioner Didier has seconded that we forward to the Board of Commissioners a recommendation of approval for CPA 2018-01, CPA 2018-02, CPA 2018-03, and CPA 2018-04 with adopted finding facts of staff report. And there are no conditions of approval. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Link. I do have a comment. This recommendation of the Franklin County Comprehensive Plan will be the most impactful issues we encounter during our stays here. City of Pasco alternatives 2 and 3 will negatively impact roughly the same area and number of residents. Unfortunately, alternative 3 does it with much higher density than does alternative 2 and will create a much higher level of negative impact on those residents. At the March 23rd, 2021 Franklin County Commissioners meeting, Ms. Stickney indicated in one of her PowerPoint slides that one of the main focuses of identifying a comprehensive plan is to protect the rural character of the urban growth areas. Alternative 3 does not keep this requirement or promise. I request that the minutes reflect that my dissent is solely based upon implementing alternative 3 over alternative 2. Thank you.
Does any of the staff want to comment on what Commissioner Link had mentioned?
Just for clarification, what I'm hearing Mr. Lank state is that he would prefer alternative 2 over alternative 3.
Correct.
Okay, that sounds like, yeah, are we in discussion?
We are in discussion.
Yeah, so that's up, yeah, so.
I understand your comments, Commissioner Link. I would just ask one simple question. Would it be possible for you to vote in favor of this, but put on the record, as you have, your disagreement with the urban growth area expansion and stating that you think it should be a larger area? So instead of saying you're gonna dissent and you're gonna vote against it because of this one issue, would you be willing to say this is, comprised of many different parts? It's the Pasco UG expansion, it's the Connell UG expansion, and it's the updated comprehensive plan itself with that whole host of policies, goals, and everything else. So maybe we could compel you to vote tonight in favor of it, but put on the record that you would have preferred a larger urban growth area for Pasco.
I've already seen the increased densities that are going on. 20 years ago, they didn't anticipate the issues that they would create. I think that we're recreating those issues for a new population in the future and the same problems that the folks in the Riverview area have experienced. I'm extremely uncomfortable with alternative 3. I am very comfortable with all the other items, all the staff support and time that was put into it. I just do not think that the City of Pasco did an appropriate job in reviewing alternative 2 in comparison to alternative 3.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? So with that in mind, may we have a roll call?
Okay, I'm on mute or off mute. Okay. Mike Vincent,
Yes.
Roger Lank,
No.
Layton Lowe,
Yes.
Claude Purette,
Yes.
Kent McMullen,
Yes.
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
Melinda Didier,
Yes.
sorry, I'm not used to this role.
The
The motion
motion,
has been approved.
the motion has passed.
Yes.
Okay, and the motion is approved. Okay. We'll move on to item number 2.
Thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate it. This has been a long-lasting project, and I just want to thank everyone for all of their commitment and time and feedback, interest, and everything else. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye now.
Okay, item number 2 is a public hearing for file CUP 2021.
-01, sorry.
You what?
It's supposed to be CUP 2021-01.
On my report, it doesn't
No,
say
no,
that.
I know. It was a typo. I was just clarifying the record. The
01?
CUP Yeah, 01. Sorry about that.
Okay. Then I'll start over. Item 2 is a public hearing for file CUP 2001-01. Application is to allow for an indoor-outdoor event center, which is only allowed with an approved conditional use permit in accordance with Franklin County Code Section 17.10.040. A proposed use of this type lies between item G, public and quasi-public buildings, and item P, auxiliary services such as tasting rooms, facilities, and event centers associated with winery, distillery, brewery. The applicant proposes to use approximately 1.92 acres of the site for the proposed use, which will include the 6,500 square foot, 2-story, single-family dwelling, 4,500 square foot auxiliary building for event hall, 4,800 square foot outdoor event space, and 104 parking spaces. The days and hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Monday through Sunday. The property where the project is proposed is Zone Agricultural Production 20, AP 20, and carries an Agricultural Comprehensive Plan land use designation. Staff, are there any additional people logging in to seek comments on this matter?
No, it's just the same folks. Good.
Okay. I declare the public hearing for CUP 2021-01 to be open. May we have a staff present the staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair. As mentioned, this is conditional use permit 2021-01 and also SEPA 2021-04. The applicant's named Yuri Capitula, and the owner of the property itself is C5 Land Company. The property currently has no address. It is bounded to the north by Levy Road, to the west by Snake River, sorry, and to the east by Rogers Road. Parcel number is 108-060-057. The current property size is approximately 27.9 acres in size. I do apologize. I did have PowerPoint prepared that had some pictures and things like that, and like we normally have, but unfortunately the unit that I'm using right now doesn't accommodate that. While I go through this, Aaron's gonna pull up see if he can do something, but I'm gonna go ahead and move forward because we still have 3 other ones. So of the 27.9 acres, approximately 1.92 acres of the site will be used for the proposed use. The comp plan designation for the property, as mentioned, is agricultural, and the zoning is AP 20. And again, I'm not going to go. What we're dealing with here is event centers are not specifically listed in the AP 20 zone. They fall somewhere in between public and quasi-public buildings and ancillary services such as tasting rooms, facilities, and event centers. And this is the key here, event centers associated with a winery. We don't have a winery, but we do have a lot of grapes in the area, if I recall correctly. So, oh, okay. Well, that'll at least give folks an idea. The yellow trapezoid shaped property is the property in question. As you can see, it's right there on the river. As mentioned, there's a 6,500 square foot, 2-story, single family dwelling. That structure, well, I'll get into those conditions and stuff later. 4,500 square foot auxiliary building for an event hall. Oh, there's, yeah, I like this. This works good, Aaron. So here's a site plan of the kind of proposed layout. As you can see to the north, yeah, that's the parking. Then the main structure is that square surrounded by the white. And then I'm sorry, it's that I think is that's the open space, event space, outdoor event space. Then there's the structure in the back, and then in the back of the house, what looks like 3 squares right there, or the 4th square to the southeast, that's the 4,500 square foot auxiliary building. The applicants also indicated they would lease out the unused portion of land to a local farmer for agricultural production. So they're going to develop this area. They're going to have that for, the event center, but the other 20 plus acres is still going to be hopefully under ag use of some sort. The proposed hours of operation will be Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The building height will be approximately 27 foot with a stucco exterior. We're going to pull up a mock-up, or not a mock-up, but it's basically the what this structure is. It's pretty impressive. That's it there. I don't know if, do we have the height? We don't have the height on that.
No.
Yeah. It may be taller than 27 foot. Based on what I'm looking at there, 2 stories, that's usually going to be at least 20 something feet plus the roof. But regardless, 35 foot would be acceptable in that area. And a 35-foot building is a 3-story building. So I don't think there's going to be any issues. Planning doesn't think there's going to be any issues associated with height. They provided a site plan, which we looked at just the slide before. And it shows parking spaces, gravel driveway, and access easements, the house, and auxiliary building for the event hall. Yeah, there's a top view, ground floor. And then also it's accommodated for any nearby geohazard areas where the proposed septic and well is going to be, and an existing 10-foot utility easement. So planning staff emailed technical review requests to technical agencies on April 8th. They also mailed notices to the property owners within 1 mile of the site on April 8th. And notice was published in the Franklin County Graphic on the 8th, as well as a sign was posted on the property. SEPA checklist was included in the application, and that was sent out along with the DNS. Again, on April 8th, and it was published in the SEPA register under SEPA number 202-101-788. And so all the agencies and everything statewide also had an opportunity to look at these. And all comments regarding the DNS threshold determination were due by April 22nd. And we did not receive any per se SEPA specific regarding the DNS. They were all comments received generally reflected the project itself. Applicable standards and codes are Chapter 1710, Agricultural Production 20, AP 20 zone. 1782, Special Permits, 1804, State Environmental Policy Act Guidelines, and Title 14 Development Code Administration, Franklin County Comprehensive Plan, and Benton Franklin District Board of Health Rules and Regulations number 2. We did not receive.
Are you talking about public comments? Are you going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did receive one from, here, I'll pull it up.
Right, we got one, but did we get it as of the 22nd of April? Yeah.
I'm just trying to, normally I would have had that.
Yep.
But, so, here, I'll just,
Well, this Mr. Gordon.
yeah.
So that was provided as part of the staff report, though.
Yeah.
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 Here it is. I've got it right here.
Yeah, it just wasn't from there.
So that's the comment letter, and Mr. Gordon, I believe he's here, isn't
Yeah, I gotta figure.
He was here earlier. He answered.
We'll get to
that when we get to the public comment part. We'll ask for this, but long story short, when we read these comments, our interpretation is the primary concern is ensuring easement, and that needs to see a plan to ensure that people who come onto the property stay on the easement, do not wander into the grapes and orchards. You know, they use farm or pesticides and herbicides to control weeds, pests, and disease in the fields. At certain times, some of these chemicals could be harmful to people if they do not stay on the easement. Application states that the venue could be open every day. We would like to have a written agreement stating that people will not wander off the easement into our orchard and vineyards. And if they do, any exposure to chemicals will not result in litigation. In other words, liability waiver. People, while traveling through, stay in their vehicles. They should not be exposed. You know, no interest in really widening the easement, and there shouldn't really be a need for that. If there was, Public Works would have commented on that, or fire, or somebody would, but that's a pretty standard ingress and egress easement width. There's another one that is not an easement. It's also on Mr. Gordon's property and was just a survey done by J.R. Carr, and somehow it got recorded. It was done without knowledge of Mr. Gordon. So basically, he's also stating, and again, we'll ask him for clarification when it comes to the public comment if I screwed anything up here. So they're not acknowledging that secondary easement. That's not an issue. We can definitely have that as a condition should the planning commission desire that. I think I don't see anything here that's irrational or you know, generally when we're traveling across people's property, we should respect the fact that we're on somebody else's property and stay in the car and not wander around in their property. So that's the one public comment we got. The other ones are agency comments that we would normally receive for this type of a proposal. So Public Works stated an approach permit is required for access to Franklin County roads, which is pretty standard comment. The site access shall meet the minimum requirements for a private access road. So that means 20 in this circumstance. Well, it'll be determined at the time, but generally that means 20 feet of, at a minimum, 20-foot gravel width and 4 inches thick of gravel. And then any utility extension, crossing, Franklin County roads will be addressed at the time of application. So some of this stuff will come up when they go to actually try to, start building their structures and things like that. Okay, so we have DAHP received a letter or sent a letter April 16th, 2021. And that is, okay. Nara's getting ready to bring that one up.
Okay. Why is it? Keep sharing the wrong screen.
Okay, just remember you can be heard.
I'm actually.
Okay.
So
basically it's a pretty standard they're recommending that there be a full-blown or a report done, and then that they consult with the tribes, cultural committees, just to make sure of how they would want to handle anything that comes out there. We're still waiting for that. Okay.
yeah, I get it on the phone.
Okay. So that was, again, the Department of Agricultural and Historical Preservation. That's DAHP. Basically, U.S. Bureau of Reclamation had no comment. They basically said, hey, we know and we're not concerned. Department of Ecology sent one on the 21st. It was a standard. They have, hazardous materials when you're doing construction, toxic, what was it? Toxic, okay. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on that one. Where'd that go, darn it? Can't find the ecology letter, but it is in your packet. It was included, should have been included with your packet. Planning and building comments are pretty standard comments for these types of requests. We reiterate that this is nothing specifically outlined, or it's not a listed conditional use. It's an interpretive on part of staff that this is kind of where it fits, and as part of FCC 1766-210. Anytime we make these types of determinations, we have to bring it to see if our interpretation is agreed to. Basically review for concurrence. We'll have a couple of those tonight. The property, as mentioned, is an AP 20, and a CUP is required for these types of uses in the AP 20 zone. No permanent structures are proposed as part of this application at this time. However, they will, when they go to build, they would need to comply with the 2018 International Building Code. Areas that are going to be open to the public, like for example, if they're using the house as part of their event center, those areas that are the public are able to enter and utilize are going to need to be built to a commercial standard under that code. Areas that are purely residential for the exclusive use of the owners and their family or whatever, not for events, those could be built to IRC or international residential, but it's easiest usually, unless you can clearly isolate those areas out, to build to one standard or the other. But that again will come out during the actual structural review process. So though this does not at this time have any connection to an actual tasting room or beverage production facility, as far as an event center. Again, we do have these throughout the county. It's not an unusual request. Comprehensive plan states the following, or contains the following goal: encourage the retention of useful open space and development of recreational opportunities, conserve critical fish and wildlife habitat, increase public access to public natural resource lands and water, and develop parks. Currently Franklin County does not own and operate any public parks, and with developed recreational amenities such as public shelters, restrooms, the proposal includes private open space and formal. So at least it's, maybe it's not county owned, but at least the public would have some access above and beyond what's currently available. At least as long as they were attending one of the events. According to the site map, application and structures will be outside of those critical areas shown to be on the site. Events will occur on an intermittent basis, but it could be anywhere Monday through Sunday from 8 to 10 p.m. And again, it's reserved for special events and weddings. Any exterior lighting would be directed on site so as not to interfere with the comfort and repose of adjoining property owners. Generally speaking, though proposed, what was it, up to 62?
What?
Up to 62 events a year?
No, 60.
60 events a year. But outdoor events are going to be seasonal. This may trigger a requirement if they go over 30, that the gravel parking area, there may be additional requirements above that. Again, that will come out at the time of actual build. But one way or the other, the gravel parking, it may need to be built to a higher standard than just gravel, but that, like I said, we'll look at when we actually do the structural build. And then the separate building permits are going to be required for any proposed or future buildings, including storage buildings exceeding 200 square feet. So they'll have to, just like anybody else, meet the requirements for a building submittal regarding, Washington State Energy Code, the building code, all those types of things. So according to Franklin County Code, Chapter 1782, special permits, the Planning Commission shall make and enter findings of fact from the record and conclusions thereof, and shall render a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners as to whether the proposal be denied, approved, or approved with modifications and or conditions. Planning and Building Department's recommendation is that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the Franklin County Board of Commissioners for application CUP 2021-01 with the suggested the following suggested findings of fact and suggested conditions of approval. I can go through all of these and read them into the record. They are part of the, well, since we can't see them, I'm probably going to need to. Proposed uses in the AP 20 zone is in accordance with goals and policy of the county development regulations and applicable comp plan. Lands ag, according to the agricultural, according to the comp plan. It helps to encourage retention of useful open space and development of recreational opportunities. There are critical areas near the site, but the project as proposed is occurring outside of those critical areas, so there's no conflict there. Land is AP 20. Our most analogous use of a public and quasi-public building is allowed with a conditional use permit. And that is the same with the other end of the spectrum, which would be the ancillary services such as tasting rooms, facilities, and event centers. And the applicant has applied for a conditional use permit to allow the proposed use. The proposal will not adversely affect public infrastructure. Access to the parcel is from Levy Road and already recorded easements. and it won't have a significant impact on the county road system. The proposal will be constructed, maintained, and operated to be in harmony with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity. Existing character of the immediate area consists of farms. The proposed use will be on an intermittent basis and will not impair the ability for rural, residential, and agricultural activities to continue, nor will it have a negative impact on the intended character of the general vicinity. That's one thing to remember too. This is in a right to farm area, so that kind of takes precedence over other proposed uses. The existing intended character of the immediate area is agriculture. And the site is within an agricultural area designated by Franklin County Comp Plan. Applicant has indicated they would lease unused portion of land to local farmer for agricultural production. The zoning of the site and most of the parcels near the site is AP 20. Current parcel size is 27.9, which allows 27.9 acres, which allows sufficient area for parking, access, etc., for the planned activities, and also provides space between the use and surrounding uses. And conditions are required to ensure the impacts of noise, traffic, and temporary structures and signage are adequately mitigated. Location and height of the proposed accessory structure and design will not discourage the development of permitted uses on property in the general vicinity or impair the value thereof. The building height is approximately 27 feet, which is below the maximum roof height of 30 foot for primary and accessory structures in the AP 35 foot for primary and accessory structures in the AP 20 zone. Operation in connection with the proposal will not be more objectionable to nearby properties by reason of noise, fume, vibration, dust, traffic, or flashing lights than would be the operation of any permitted uses in the district. Traffic of passenger vehicles and employees to the site will be intermittent and typically concentrated to special events. Conditions are required to ensure the impact of noise, traffic, temporary structures, and signage will be adequately mitigated. In other words, they've got to put in that access and people aren't supposed to go off that access. Proposal will not endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare if located where proposed. There's at least 2 or 3 event centers already in farm areas, and it's a pretty common location for these types of event centers or venues. Project is subject to county's right to farm ordinance. Project is required to comply with Health Department Public Works standards regarding health and access safety standards, as well as the fire department. And the public was notified of this proposal in accordance with all guidelines and requirements, and the planning department received no comments from, we received Mr. Gordon's. So that was typed before then. So as mentioned, suggested conditions of approval. The project shall comply with requirements and recommendations of the Franklin County Planning and Building Department. They got to meet setbacks, everything like that. Storm drainage shall be retained on site and controlled by way of drainage, swales, dry swales, front drains, or other means approved by the county engineer. Exterior ladders shall be directed on site. Current parcel size is approximately 27.9 acres. If the property is later adjusted through a boundary line adjustments that impacts the development site or a short plat, a new conditional use permit may be required, but we would make that assessment at that time, depending on the specifics of the proposal. And then, as mentioned earlier, completed building application is required upon submittal for building permits. Public work comments is an approach permit is required. Site access shall meet the minimum requirements for a private access road for Franklin County design standards for the construction of roads and bridges, Resolution 2002-270. Any utility extension crossing Franklin County roads will be addressed at the time of application. We already kind of talked about this to some degree. Comply with the following conditions for access and parking. Parking and gravel parking lot as proposed is allowed as long as events are infrequent and any fugitive dust is mitigated through appropriate means. However, if events do occur year-round or more than 30 times per year, the requirements of FCC 17.78 will apply. and the number of parking space calculations will be based on those required for retail, trade, and services, considered to be the most analogous to an event center for use for parking calculation purposes. Access to the property will be utilizing a specific access easement. Mr. Gordon mentioned there's a few out there. I believe this one's already been checked with him.
What?
There's 161.
Yeah.
That's the one that he's okay with.
Yeah.
And again, Mr. Gordon, if I'm misspeaking, please let us know when we get to that point. The access will need to be built to county road standards. Handicap parking areas to be designated meeting ADA requirements and approved ADA signage installed. Any temporary signage used to locate the event center must meet the provisions of Franklin County Side Code, specifically FCC 15.16.0802E. No sign shall obstruct any roadways, and all signs shall be removed not more than 1 day after an event. Comply with the following conditions regarding occupancy and uses. Did we confirm that this is the right number? 200 guests?
I didn't, yeah, that was the part we were still.
Okay. I'm going to recommend that we do not. This limitation that we have here, 4A, is actually, I think, from a different event center that was on a smaller site. So that 200 number may change. I mean, the parking alone allows for probably more than 200 guests, considering most of the time you've got a couple people, maybe families going to the event. We will ask Mr. Capitulo. Did I even say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll look for clarification on that number. Buildings meet minimum 2018 International Building Code for accessibility. That's ADA access and other specifics. Events with outdoor entertainment shall not unreasonably impact neighboring residential businesses. All music and activities resulting in sound that can interfere with normal conversation as distance 75 feet or more from the source of the sound must not begin before 10 a.m. and must end by 10 p.m. and is limited in duration. I don't know. Again, I'm going to have to modify that. It says, and is limited to 3 hours of total duration. That's going to be event specific. Event activity shall conclude by 10 p.m. Tents or temporary shelters shall be used on site must meet the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA standards and are subject to inspection by county official. And this starts getting into details of labels and things like that. Building official is required to inspect and approve the final installation of all temporary structures over 400 square feet, excluding portable toilets. That'd be a big portable toilet. And any applicable inspection fees will apply. So should an event provide alcohol to guests, a banquet liquor license shall be required. They need to apply and receive a business registration on an annual basis, and an annual fire life self-inspection survey form is required to be completed. Applicant shall commence okay, and then now we just start getting into the standard CUP language that we have with all our CUPs regarding, you got a year to do it. There's a right to farm area, various other things for a grand total of 17 conditions of approval, recommended conditions of approval. Any questions?
Is this where we can ask questions, or we wait for the discussion?
Yep. Any questions of staff at this point?
Yeah, I got a question on the road. So this is a business, and I'm asking just for information more than anything else. Why are we requiring a private driveway for a commercial business?
How else is it supposed to get to the site?
Right, but is there a difference between commercial width or anything like that of a gravel road
No.
versus
No.
residential?
No, it has to do with the fact of the length of the run. That's one of the things. Also, I would have to double check, but if you're accessing more than 2 rural lots, then you're going to, if that access is being used to access more than 2, then again, it's a pretty standard requirement that if you basically have a run that's over 150 foot in length, or it's accessing more than 2 rural lots, either of those, you have to build it to that county standard of 20-foot width of gravel and 4 inches thick.
So there's no difference if it was going to a commercial business or not, right?
Correct. It'd be the same for that or a house.
Okay.
Layton, this is Matt Mahoney.
Yeah.
Be quite frank with everybody, the county road department doesn't have any jurisdiction over private roads, and that's what the access would be.
Yeah.
Certainly we, in accordance with state law, will be dealing directly with the approach on and onto the county road. But certainly your point is well taken, and it's something that maybe we need to look at, because in this case, it really comes down to the fire code and the fire marshal's requirements for ingress and egress in these types of situations. So it's something that as we move forward and start updating all of our codes and policies, that we can look at with them. But I would think in this case of a commercial business where they would have 2-way traffic going in and out, and the amount of people that they would, to me, it would be something for them to seriously look at as a wider standard for an ingress and egress easement to this event center. So point well taken. It's something that we can discuss moving forward so that we can have some better guidance. But and this is one of those cases where all we're doing is pretty much just citing the county's current design standards, which were supplied to us by the separate fire districts in Franklin County.
And that's kind of why I was asking, because I've been on that road a lot, and that access off of the county road right there is on a blind corner that goes to a boat dock that's busy every weekend. And I'm assuming that a lot of these events are going to happen on the weekend. It's a pretty steep road coming out of Levy Landing right there. I would hope that you guys would look at that at the time of the application to see if some additional signage needs done or something, because that's a narrow, windy road as it is.
I totally agree with you, and it's something as they come in for the approach permits that we don't look at them just putting an approach off a county road. We look at the existing county road, and in some cases that may require improvements to the county road as well. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I have a question, Derek. This is Melinda Didier. And it's basically, would you or would the Gordons be offering further information on those 2 easements that were noted?
Yeah, if it's okay, I'm gonna probably, Mr. Gordon knows more about it than I do. I just look at,
Okay.
we look at the plat, we have these AFN numbers. And again, there's one that I think everybody's okay with being used, and there's another one that's not. And
Well, he stated in his letter that the second one is not an easement technical.
that's what I'm saying.
It was a that was done. Okay.
Right, and I frankly, I mean, I'm not the recording office. Like I said, so that would be worked out. Like I said, there's the one, and that's why we call out specifically which easement
Right.
would be used for access.
Okay.
161.
I'll wait then. I'm sorry, I'll wait and perhaps the Gordons can clarify how that site plan should actually look as far as easements.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Link. I had a question for staff.
Yeah,
I saw the site plan that came out late. I didn't see any storage.
storage.
For all the things that go along with the event center, tables, chairs, music, DJ equipment, those sorts of things.
Well, he's building a, I mean, I'm not gonna tell him how to use his personal space, but he's building a pretty big house. So,
Okay, good. Well,
or it could be, and we can ask Mr. Capitula about that.
Is there a requirement in the code or anywhere that they have to have storage?
No,
So it's a
not,
non-issue.
not a defined area, like this is storage. I mean, they could keep it, like I said, I'm not gonna tell him how to store stuff on his property. There's no
They
real-
have a 4,500 square foot auxiliary building for event hall. Perhaps
That's
their
what I'm
storage.
saying. I don't think storage of equipment is gonna be an issue. But that's really up to them how they wanna do that.
okay. Thank you.
Yes, Derek, Commissioner McMullen, just a couple of points of clarification. It stated that the business hours are from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday, which in keeping with the calendar probably should state Sunday through Saturday, because that's a week, as a week begins on Sunday and ends on Saturday.
Okay,
And stating it the other way makes it 6 days of one week and the next day of the next week. So, and then the second thing on page 7 of our packet, in referring to the location, it states that the parcel is bounded to the north by Levy Road, to the west by the Snake River, and to the east by Rogers Road. And those directions are switched. It is bound to the east by the Snake River and to the west by Rogers Road. Just clarification points for
yep, you are
location.
correct. Sorry. Yep. Guys.
That may change if they pull the Snake River dams, but otherwise that's the way it stands for now.
No, I think he's high enough off. That shit still.
We thought we were in Walla Walla County.
It's like the Harris property in the paper kept showing up flipped upside down too. No, I apologize for that. That when you're doing the bounded as opposed to the west of it, yeah. So the site's west, yeah. Anywho, we'll fix that. I appreciate that call out.
That's all I have.
Is there any more questions for staff? Then do we, does the applicant wish to speak?
Is Capitula?
Yeah, he's there.
Okay.
The chair's just asked. Just
Yeah, Mr. Capitula, are you ready to speak?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody and comment on a couple of the questions that were brought up as far as the amount of guests. I think that would be adjusted with the final design of the structure and with the fire marshal, but we're basically shooting for anywhere between 200 and 250 guests at any one particular event. And then as far as the other question that was brought up about storage, the building proposed is going to have at least a 400 square foot garage, kind of like on the east side of the building. So majority of that storage needs would be used in that garage there. So just those couple of things I wanted to comment, and then if anybody else had any questions.
You're muted.
There you go. Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, let me grab.
I would like to talk. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Jeff Gordon, and I'll wait if that's appropriate, but
Are you speaking in favor or just neutral or what, Jeff?
I'm Mr. Neutral.
Okay, let's go through see if there's anyone else wants to speak in favor.
We're due to the complexity, Chair, if it's okay, due to how burdensome somewhat it is to, what we're doing is we're generally just let people speak, and I'm keeping track of who is for and against it.
Oh, I see.
And,
Okay.
and Mr. Gordon's the one who sent the letter in. And yeah, his letter's pretty neutral as long as people stay on the easement. Please, Mr. Gordon, go ahead.
Well, if the permit is granted, I would really like to see something in there that they need to work with us to come up with a workable plan. The most important thing for me is safety of the people going in and out of there. And we are right next to the John Wayne Trail on one edge of our property. And I can tell you, they say, oh, nobody will go in your orchard or nobody will go in your vineyard. And they do every time. And so when people just say, oh, don't worry about it, we'll put a sign up and that'll take care of it. That won't take care of it, because I just speak from experience there. So that needs to be addressed and dealt with, and we need to come up with a plan, and it needs to be implemented. And so that would go with that would include maybe surveillance during events, maybe signage, obviously signage, and then I'm just really concerned about, we gave J.R. Carr that easement. He said he wanted to build a home there. Well, I don't have a problem with that. He's a farmer. He understands what it's all about. But these other people that come from Pasco or wherever, they're not familiar, and they're going, oh, let's go get a cherry. Oh, let's go get some grapes. And, they just stop their vehicle and walk in, and I'm really concerned about their safety. I guess I would ask the question, are there any accommodations for overnight stays or no?
That is not proposed in this.
Okay, so the answer is no?
We're not, if that's the plan, we need to start over.
Okay. Tonight was the first night I ever saw some elevations of the building, and so I couldn't tell what was what. So I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
And number AF 554778 is not an easement. It was a survey commissioned by J.R. Carr, and he somehow got it recorded. And I've talked to the people about getting that off of there, because the problem is if it stays on there, all of a sudden they become real. And the gal at the recording office said she'd never seen anything like that before, but I want it off the rules. So I got from the planning department a vacation of easement application, and it's going to cost me about $500. And I would ask that J.R. Carr pay that $500 to get that taken off of there.
I can't, I don't have that authority to require who's going to do what on that. I mean, all I can do is process the application. I
And
can't.
you want me to pay $500? That's what it's going to cost.
Sir, I didn't record this. I'm just saying.
I didn't
can't-
either. It was recorded by JR, and it's in my packet. I sent that in. He's the guy that recorded it.
I've got that. And what I'm saying is I don't have legal authority to force people to pay for anything except for the, as duly required as an application fee or something like that. I don't have any legal authority to say this party shall pay that party anything. That's way outside of our authority as a body.
Let me ask Yuri. Yuri, would you pay for it?
Jeff, yeah, absolutely. We're willing to pay for that. If that easement needs to get vacated, we actually knew that.
It's not an easement. It's not an easement. It's a recorded survey.
Yeah, so we knew that it wasn't official. We couldn't find all the documents associated with that. So it made it on the site plan just in case, but we acknowledge that it's not an official easement. And yes, we would pay the fee.
Okay. All right. That for me, that's good. We're good.
Thanks.
And
Good job, guys. I appreciate that.
yeah, that's the only comments I have now.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, I guess Flo Sayer has.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, having sat on the planning commission for a number of years with you, I understand the dilemma that you go through, and we've looked at a number of these type of things over the years while I was on the planning commission. There's a couple of clarifications that I would like to present to staff. That is a 27.9 acre parcel. However, when he takes out this little piece that he's using, there's probably not 20 acres left over because of the topography that is there. Much of that topography falls over the edge of the cliff, or it's non-usable as far as farming. So that's just a clarification. Yes, the property sits above Levy Park, and yes, I understand, as having worked with Mr. Capitula, that the so-called agreed upon easement is probably not an easement, but it's what was presented to us at the time. I do, however, see this as a positive piece of to the community. There is a shortage of event centers available, to the point that, especially with COVID, there were places that there's a number of events that could not happen simply because there was no place that could handle them appropriately. This one being in the ag community, there's a lot of opportunity here for a number of different opportunity or people not only wanting to plan events, but simple things like graduation photographs and such as that be the nature. So, and I do understand Mr. Gordon's concern regarding trespassing. So if they can come to an agreement to vacate that so-called access, I'm in favor of that too. So whenever there's two parties that have, an agreement, that's good for everyone. So yes, I am in favor of this, and I'd like to see it move forward. And Mr. Chairman, I do believe that we had to state our name, address, and so forth. Flo Sayer.
We don't have to do that anymore, but you're more than welcome to.
Okay, well, okay. If I don't need to, then that's fine. But I am a resident of Franklin County and have been for 70 some years.
Good to hear from you, Flo.
Okay. So, and then there's Jeff McGee. I don't know if he's. All right. Are you there? Oh, are you there?
Mr. McGee?
Okay. All right. All right. Well,
Is that everybody?
yeah.
Believe that's everybody?
Okay. So we had Jeff speaking as neutral. Is there anyone that wants to speak against the project?
Well, that's it.
Yeah, we
No
got,
one
that's
else.
everybody.
That's everybody. Okay. Then I will we'll close the public hearing and open the discussion amongst the commissioners themselves. I have a couple. I'd like to ask, is there any way, Jeff brought up a point that people who drive through and they see fruit on the trees, so let's go get some. And they could be toxic chemicals that could cause a reaction to other people. Is there any way that we could put in there that he would not be liable if someone violates the easement, gets off the road and stuff like that? Is there anything that we can add in there?
I mean, again, the county cannot indemnify another party. We're starting to get into things like civil law and stuff like that. I don't believe, and with Ms. Johnson there, she may speak to this too, but the county can't indemnify Mr. Gordon. We can't act as insurance. We can require something like, I don't know, fencing along the road. I don't know how that would be, whether that would be viable or not. Or, but the fact that people trespassing and stuff, because that's what they would be doing, they'd be trespassing. But really, we're starting to get into legal areas that I don't believe we have the authority to be in. Because like I said, we can't, the county, I'm not aware of a way for us to indemnify Mr. Gordon against people driving down that road at an event. Jen, if you able to speak to this at all?
Yeah, no, you're correct. There is no way for the county to indemnify, and we also can't make promises on behalf of, future people that may trespass and get poisoned that they won't sue either. So there's really nothing we can do other than, require some sort of fencing if feasible. I don't think this is any more of a risk than we have of them doing it because they're in the area for any other reason. And we've got farmland all over the place, and if people choose to trespass and steal fruit off trees, I guess that's a risk they're running.
That if they did it at the wrong time, that's going to be pretty much on them. Or if they did it at all, actually. I mean, that's a criminal act. You're not allowed to steal fruit, so.
Correct. And I mean, I don't live in farmland, but it's never occurred to me when I drive past people's fields to stop and eat fruit. So, I mean, I think it's a criminal element that maybe people that don't abide by, laws on a regular basis might think it's a good idea.
Also wanted to ask, how many houses are close to the facility that is being proposed?
Not many. I mean, I guess part of my question on that would be when you say how close, what do you mean? How many?
Well, I mean, noise, they're asking.
And half of those were Jeff Gordon's property.
Yeah, there's within a mile, there are only 10 properties, and a lot of those are owned by the Gordons. At this point in time, I don't recall seeing when I was, there isn't really, as far as houses go, there aren't very many residences out there.
Well, my point is, they're asking to stay open till 10 p.m., basically 6-7 days a week. And I know in the past, we have passed different projects and we had required that they be shut down at least by 8 o'clock, so that there can be quiet in the community. And
Right. The county's noise ordinance is up until 10 p.m.
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then this
So
facility.
can we require it to be less?
You can make whatever recommendation to the board you
Okay.
want.
Okay.
We just forward those on.
Okay. Well, I would like to,
One thing to keep in mind, which is a little different at this event than some of the ones that we've seen, at least since I've been here, is they have a large indoor space. Most of the other ones didn't. They were primarily outdoor event centers. This is both. But so I guess that would be, I can understand on like an outdoor, but an indoor event center, limiting them. I don't know. That's just me. But like I said, you guys can, again, I presented what I have for the information. You guys take what I brought to you and you do with it as you wish.
is there anyone, any of the board members feel the same as I do, or just leave it like it is?
I would say out where it's at. I've dealt with noise from neighbors before and actually called Franklin County Sheriff and stuff like that, and it's 10 p.m. I don't know how I would feel okay with putting a limitation on this when the neighbor could. I mean, right across the river from there's is Charbonneau. I mean, you could hear their music at 9 o'clock if you wanted to. I don't know how I would be okay with that, but that's just my thought.
And criminally, or I guess it'd be a civil infraction, I don't know how we would enforce that. If we were to call the sheriff, they're not going to enforce a earlier noise violation because it's not on the books.
Okay. Well, then those are my two items. And so, is there any other discussion amongst?
Isn't there a requirement of certain decibel levels within a specific distance from an event center?
Yeah, it's interfere with conversation at 75 feet.
Right.
So, that's a condition that we have on the application. Excessive noise could be actionable, and the way we would, if we got complaints regarding noise, eventually we would potentially, it would be brought to the board that they're not complying, they keep violating, we keep getting noise complaints. Then we could, it would be reviewed by the board as to whether or not to revoke the conditional use permit or something like that. That's usually how these types of situations are handled, as far as potential violations of that nature.
Thank you.
Any other discussion amongst ourselves?
Mr. Commissioner, Commissioner Lake, or Mr. Chair, I wanted to ask staff about a recommendation or a motion. You indicated that we needed to delete 4A in the recommendations. Is that was an old event center?
That was the one with the 200 limit, is where we actually limited it.
Well, I'm trying to find 4A is different than that issue.
It's actually 5A on page 10.
Okay, 5A. So you want us to delete 5A?
Conditions of approval, 5.
Or change it to 250?
I would say 4A should be modified to 250
Okay,
as per the request of the applicant.
all right.
And then and then in 4C it says not begin before 10 a.m., must end by 10 p.m. And these are outdoor noises, not internal. And then I would also recommend that we strike and is limited to 3 hours of total duration. I would just end this at 10 a.m. and must end by 10 p.m.
Okay, I'm gonna write those things down. And then regarding the easement, shall we leave that to the two parties to come to an agreement on?
Yeah, I've double checked in 3B, it says access to the party be utilizing access easement AF number 1619162. I've confirmed that based on the site plan provided, that is the acceptable easement. It goes like this. Not the weird squiggly stuff that's showing up on the site plan. That's the one that the two parties are basically AFN number 554778 is the not recognized easement. So that's the one that is to be eliminated.
So what number is that?
Well,
It's on the site plan.
what number is which?
Oh, I see. It's on the site plan.
Yes. That's the one that's going to get eliminated. And then the one that is the required, and just as clarification in the conditions, 3B states access to the property will be utilizing access easement AF number 1619162. That is the one that Mr. Gordon has indicated is the correct easement in his letter and as shown on the site plan. So we have the right one in the conditions.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Quick question. This Commissioner Vincent, in regards to the lighting, is that subject to review by the building department at the time of application on site? And also, is there any, assume there isn't any additional lighting on the access road to the center?
Not at this point. We don't have any requirements for additional lighting on the access. And yeah, if they've got a lot of floodlights or they're going to be doing outdoor events, we would look at their lighting plan and how that lays out on the property and stuff like that.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any more discussion? Okay, then I will entertain a motion. This would be a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I'll try to or attempt to make a motion. As Commissioner Lenk, I move to forward CUP 2019. Am I on? Oh yeah, 06 to the Board of Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 6 findings of fact and 18 suggested conditions of approval, with 5A being modified from 200 to 250 guests. In 5C, we will delete the last portion of the sentence that limits the attendance to 3 hours. And that we eliminate the easement on the site plan.
Is there a second?
Did you say 2019 or did you say 20? CUP 2021-1.
Should be 2021 dash 01.
Oh, well, in the motion, it's an old.
Yeah, that,
Reading the motion, I'm sorry.
that's,
So it should be CUP 2021-01.
There you
yeah,
go.
Yes.
sorry about that.
Is there a second to that
I'll
motion?
second. Commissioner Vincent, I'll second.
Any discussion? Can we have roll call, please?
Oh, sorry. I'm not used to that roll. Mike Vincent,
Yes.
Roger Lang,
Yes.
Leighton Lowe,
Yes.
Claude Pierrette,
Yes.
Kent McMullen,
Yes.
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
Melinda Didier,
Yes.
Chair, we do have, oh, wait. Nope, that'd be everybody.
Yeah. The motion is passed.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody, for that one.
Moving on to item 3.
Yeah.
Do we need to take a break?
It's up to you guys.
I don't hear anyone, so not hearing any, we'll move on to item 3. Is a public hearing for file CUP 2021-02. Application is to allow for the sitting of fuel pumps at an existing convenience store. FCC 17.46.020 J allows for the siting of automotive sales or service of automobiles, including their repairing, painting, or upholstering of motor vehicles, if there is no outside storage, as a permitted right in the rural service commercial C-2 zone, or with a CUP if there is an outdoor storage. However, table 70-.1 land use by zoning district appears to prohibit such uses in the C2 zone. Staff has determined that a fueling station should have no more impact than an automotive repair facility with outdoor storage, and seeks confirmation of said interpretation as required under the FCC 17.66.20210 supplement use classification. The property has a zoning of rural service commercial C2 with a comprehensive plan designation of rural settlement. Is there any people that's logged in to speak on this that you know of?
We're checking.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody there. It's just yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this is Leanne Liddicoat, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the application.
Okay.
Yes. So if I may, I'll do the, if it's okay, I'll do the staff report. And then we'll get into the public. Is that okay with you, Leanne?
Yeah, go ahead and let's do that.
Yeah. So what happened with this application is there's a conflict in our code. The text of the code says automotive sales or service of automobiles, which is generally interpreted to be a automotive service station, is a permitted use. It says it right there in the text. You don't even have to go through CUP. However, when you go and you look in the use tables in the back, that exact language, automotive sales or service or automotive service station, is prohibited. So our automotive filling station, in fact, that's the only place you see automotive filling is in this use table. This staff believes is a mistake. It's, you know, another glitch that we find on the table is, for example, according to the table, employers cannot run their own daycare centers. That's probably a typo or a mistake. The staff has reviewed this and as provided for in. Is that me? What is that? Keep hearing a background noise or something.
That's
Yeah.
your voice echoing, Derek.
Okay, sorry. All right, it seems to have gone now. So we had this conflict in the code. Well, we've looked. This is a service area. You know, it's zoned. Okay, Basin City is it's a Lammert. And it's a rural service or rural settlement. So the intention behind rural settlement is that, you know, folks are supposed to, it's to allow for smaller lots and aggregation of population and services such as just services, banks, whatever. So people don't have to necessarily drive all the way to Pasco to get everything done, or Connell or Mesa or one of the other cities. These are little pockets. There's Basin City, there's Merrill's Corner, there's a few others floating around the county. When I ran an analysis and I went up there and I've got some anecdotal evidence as well, the only fueling station that I saw when I was in Basin City, and I may have missed one, but is a Pacific Pride. Well, those are membership. Those are like co-ops. They're not open to the general public. The nearest gas station to this site is potentially in Mesa at about 9 miles, Merrill's Corner at 10, or Connell at 15. It's just a little odd that we have this conflict. When I look at impacts and even based on agency review and comments, nobody really saw allowing a fueling station to locate here was an issue. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Today is there's not going to, you know, staff doesn't have a lot of conditions associated with this proposal because most of those elements under a normal circumstance, let's, for example, say a Les Schwab wanted to locate there, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. The only reason we are is because of that conflict in the code, and staff just doesn't feel that prohibiting a fueling station is in the best interest of Franklin County and the residents of the county. We need to have more opportunities, and to drive 10 miles to the nearest fueling station that I'm aware of that's open to the public is a little excessive. When we have a party that is interested in doing this, it's, as you can see on the picture that Aaron put up there, it's in the far west. Yes, west quadrant of the Basin City. It's practically the last of the Lammert lots. It's right across the street from a pretty significant manufactured home facility park. To the north is mostly all residential lots, except for like where the school and some other, like a church and some other large lot. And then you have industrial over on the other side of the I guess town, Lammert, whatever you want to call it. It's not, technically it's not a city. Yeah, so that's really why this is being brought to you. Initially, it was actually, the applicant was told it was a permitted use because of that interpretation. And it wasn't until we noticed in the use table that there was a conflict that we've created this where we're at today. The property's address is 7380 Road 170 Mesa. It's bounded to the south by SR 170 and to the east by Bailey Boulevard. And then to the north by the west extension of, I believe it's First Avenue. And then to the west, it's vacant land. Current property size is approximately 24,829 square feet. So it's just over a half acre. Approximately 1,040 square feet of the south half of the property are to be used for the fuel island. Comp plan designation is rural settlement, rural service commercial, and staff's recommending approval with 6 suggested findings of fact and 15 suggested conditions of approval. Most of those are pretty standard, again, CUP conditions. And the chair read into the record kind of what the conflict is. And the SEPA determination is a DNS because, again, this facility would need to meet whatever requirements under the Department of Ecology and the Department of Licensing a party would need to open up a fueling station for the public to utilize. These include fuel containment areas, the way that the property is graded to ensure that if there's fuel spills, that's contained on site, and doesn't get over or at least minimizes the ability of it to get onto other properties. It's already a convenience store. It's been there, I don't know how long, but at least a decade or so, from what I understand. There's already traffic. I mean, just there, putting up the sign for the property, vehicles are coming in, coming out. People are walking across from the manufactured home park. Public Works' comment was that this wouldn't have any significant impact on the road system. So, we mailed everything out to technical agencies on the 15th of April. Everybody with 1 mile posted it in the Franklin County Graphic. And like I said, we posted a sign on the property. All of this occurred on the 15th. SEPA determination was issued on the 15th as well. It was filed under SEPA number 202-102-014 in statewide SEPA register. And then comments were due by the 29th. Nobody had any appeals or concerned with the DNS threshold determination. Ecology provided, again, pretty standard comments regarding this type of activity. Just that they'd have to abide by the standards for hazard mitigations and things like that, which the applicants already indicated, and they're well aware that they would have to comply with that. Property is C2 zone. That's rural service commercial. It's rural settlement, as I discussed, encourages rural services to be provided to the rural settlement area. Fueling station for vehicles is a rural service. People need gas. As I mentioned, access to non-membership fueling facilities is limited, and we have co-ops, we have various other types of stations where they're all computer operated. There's no attendants there's no personnel there. They're card operated, but those are not open to the general public. Those are only open to people that are in the co-op or membership. They have to have that card to use those services. Otherwise, they have to drive. Like I said, okay, it's 10.5 from Merrill's Corner, which I do know that there is a fueling station right there on Glade North at about that distance. 8 miles from Mesa and 16 miles from Connell. The Public Works Department stated that they would like to see right in, right out only on R170. Staff is recommending that be a condition of approval. such that there shall only be, due to the fact they have a secondary access onto Bailey Road, left outs and left ins off of R170 are not necessary. They can do the same approach just coming in off of Bailey Road, and that's more safer. BBEC stated there's a main line that comes in. This occurred back in the 40s, from what I understand, where they ran this line across. The party that built the structure that the store is in now basically signed a, if anything happens by this power line overhead, I'm not holding anybody liable for it. It's on me. That's neat and all, but it's not really preferred. There's a potential risk if something were to occur, such as a massive windstorm or whatever that causes that cable to collapse, fall on the building, whatever. So one condition will be that, we require that the owner or builder will need to contact the engineering department of BBEC. Proposed fuel tanks facilities may conflict with the existing 13.2 kV three-phase overhead main feeder. Relocation of 13.2 kV overhead feeder and secondary electrical service to the store will need to be done prior to construction of the fuel tanks and facilities. This is because there's a lot of different potential options as to how this could work. There's also a lot of potential ways that this could go very bad. So the electrical provider needs the applicant and or their agent to come in and figure out, and they're going to sit down and work out what's the best way to mitigate this situation with the overhead power line. The other issue is the canopy may conflict with what they call the drop or the sag in that cable. As those power lines go, they have a little bit of a sag. That little curve you see, and there's only so much range that they're allowed to sag, and they have to be a certain distance between the bottom of that cable and any potential structure. So because of this, they just need to sit down and figure it out. The power company is very confident they can work something out, but they need to sit down and do that. It's not a simple answer as to exactly how it will be addressed. There's different options. Didn't get any comments from Health District, Fire District, Conservation District. Bureau of Reclamation did send a letter. It's pretty standard. Got to keep everything out of their stuff. They've got some stuff, but they're not overly concerned with the proposal. Ecology submitted comments basically regarding the hazardous waste and toxic reduction program, the toxic cleanup program, and then just that SEPA, the standard SEPA comments. Didn't get anything from Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation, but that's because it's already a developed site. So staff had a suggested findings of fact that the proposed use in the C2 zoning district is in accordance with the goals and policies of the county development regulations. The land is zoned rural service commercial, and the comprehensive plan designation is rural settlement. Like I said, 1B is a discussion of the fact that there's a conflict in our code, and that staff in 1C has determined that the fueling station should have no more impact to surrounding uses than an automotive repair facility with outdoor storage. And frankly, I believe it would have less, at least aesthetically viewed. Comp plan says that rural settlement areas should provide limited services that are necessary for rural residents. And this is, as discussed already, that it's at least 8 to 10 miles to the nearest non-membership fueling station. And there's no critical areas mapped on the parcel, and no critical areas or buffers would be affected. It's got access from R170 and Bailey Road Boulevard. Public Works has determined that it is not anticipated that the use will have a significant impact on county road system. Surface water runoff resulting from construction activities can potentially, okay, so that, but again, this would have to be any surface water runoff. They would have to follow the standard stormwater construction management requirements of any site development. And then I already mentioned the basically any potential interference with the existing 13.2 kV power main line and secondary power service to the on the property can be mitigated through consultation with BBEC. So they can address that potential concern already. Proposal will be constructed, maintained, operated to be in harmony with the existing site location for the fuel pumps is in an area zone, rural service commercial. The general area consists of single-family homes, manufactured homes, various commercial service providers, and light industrial operations are just all up and down R170. It wouldn't stand out other than the fact that it's on a corner like that. But the location, height, and structure and site design will not discourage the development of permitted uses on property in the general vicinity or impair the value thereof. You know, it's common for a convenience store to have vehicle fuel pumps. It does not, you know, the height of the future stuff is all within the limitations of the height restrictions for a C2 zone. Fuel containment requirements for a licensed fuel station, such as fuel cutoff switches, fueling area grade and barriers, tank installation requirements, etc., will mitigate any potential risks associated with spilled fuel contaminating neighbor properties. In other words, they're going to have to meet these requirements by the state agencies that control these types of things, and just be like any other fueling station that you would see in any other neighborhood. And the use of proper erosion and sediment control practices on the construction site and adjacent areas will contain stormwater and sediment on site. It's not going to be any more objectionable to nearby properties by reason of noise, fumes, vibration, dust, traffic, or flashing lights. Again, you know, there's already extensive light industrial service industry agent, people pulling in and out, going to various, there's just all sorts of different services and stores up and down that corridor. To further ensure its compatibility with surrounding commercial area and reduce potential impact to neighbors, fueling stations shall be licensed by the Washington State Department of Licensing and meet all requirements of the Washington State Department of Ecology for a fuel station located within the state of Washington. Outdoor lighting shall adhere to dark sky standards such that lights are aimed towards the ground and shielded so the light halo does not encroach onto surrounding properties. This is primarily potentially an impact on the manufactured home or the surrounding some of the other, maybe the houses, that those are starting to get kind of far away, but if the lighting's not done right, but it could shine over there. But again, they adhere to the dark sky standards. It's not going to be an issue. There's already some outdoor lighting there that's shining down on the front parking lot, but the only comment I received on this from the public was I got a phone call, and once they found out what they were doing, they said, yay. And again, this party also confirmed that he wasn't aware of any other fueling stations that were non-membership in Basin City. So he was actually supportive of it once he knew what it was. Yeah, so suggested conditions of approval. Fueling station shall be licensed by Washington State Department of Licensing. That's who does that. And that an approved conditional use permit in compliance with all requirements of the Washington State Department of Ecology for a fuel station and siting of a 30,000 gallon underground fuel tank is required. They have to contact the engineering department at BBEC, as already discussed, regarding the overhead power line. They need to at all times comply with the necessary federal and state standards for operating a vehicle fueling station. They'll need approach permits for any new approaches onto the county roads. I believe they may be modifying. Oh, it looks like a sidewalk or that runs along the east and south edge of the property. There may be some modifications to that. That'll be determined at the time of actual install, but generally it's going to reflect what you see here. They'll need building permits for anything that they build, and there may be additional fire protection, but that'll come out in consultation with the fire district if there's anything that they desire to see. And then fire extinguishers need to be clearly marked. Already discussed the outdoor lighting, and then the rest just gets into our standard CUP language for a grand total of 15 suggested conditions of approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions. If there's any
Hey,
questions.
Derek, I got a question.
Yeah.
Hey, just a quick one on that. You mentioned the coordination with the utility company as far as the overhead power. I just wonder if it was a consideration to go underground on that to feed that facility.
That's everything that they need to look at. What happens when it comes down to ground is then they got to look at proximity to the tanks, you know, because if there's an electrical short or something like that. So that's why they need that consult. They've got different ideas and they just need to sit down with the landowner or their agent to figure out what's going to work best.
Okay, great. Thanks.
But yeah, underground is preferred. It just may not be feasible or cost effective.
I understand.
Yep.
Derek, is Commissioner McMullen, one question, there was reference to a 30,000 gallon underground tank. Are they only offering one grade of fuel, or is it a compartmentalized tank where they're offering the standard 3 grades of fuel? And I assume diesel is not part of the equation.
I would have to, I'm going to defer that to Mr. Lidicott on that. My assumption is multi-grade, but yeah, I don't know.
The answer to that question is that yes, it is a compartmentalized tank. And I believe that we do have diesel as well there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Would Liddy, would you like to speak on your project?
Sure, thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate the time that staff has taken to help us work through this, the question of whether we could put a fuel station in this particular location and zone. And once we've seen the work product and the conditions of approval, we don't see any
Oh, no.
issue with that, whether it's with line, the requirements, labor and industries. And so we are happy to comply. So we appreciate your consideration.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Does staff have any final comments?
No.
Any clarification that needs to be done? Then I'll close the public testimony. And is there any discussion amongst the commissioners themselves?
Oh, Mr. Chair, are you ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
All right. So this is Commissioner Lank. I moved forward to the Board of Commissioners a positive recommendation of, and again, this is a modified CUP from the language there, CUP 2021-05
Nope, 02,
Pardon me?
02.
002, CUP
Okay, I'm looking at the
2021-02.
header. Okay, 2021-02 with 6 findings of fact and 15 suggested conditions of approval.
Is there a second?
I would second that, Commissioner McMullen.
Any discussion? May we have a vote, a roll call, please? Derek?
Mike Vincent,
Yes.
Roger Lank,
Yes.
Throughout the Melinda's lost connection.
okay, well,
Yeah, you were kind of busy.
okay.
Sorry.
Leighton Lowe,
Yes.
we appear to have lost Melinda. So we'll see if she comes back or not. Claude Perrott,
Yes.
Kent McMullen,
Yes.
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
and we lost Melinda. I don't know whether she's going to be coming back or not. How long ago would we lose her?
Probably, yeah, at least a good 30 minutes ago, probably.
30 minutes ago?
Pretty close. That's when she sent the email, like 9:18.
Okay.
You're like in the
Okay. Yeah, we lost Melinda about half an hour ago, so I'm guessing she's not able to vote on this, but we had 6.
It still passed.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone need a break? Okay, we'll move on. Item 4 is a public hearing for file CUP 2021-03. Application is to allow for the sitting of a commercial dog kennel training facility for veteran first responder service dogs, comprising approximately 35,000 square feet of a crop corner located in the northeast corner of a 73.6 acre property. Plans include a 5,000 square foot building, approximately 15 parking spaces, and an 11,250 square foot fenced outdoor area. Property is zoned as agricultural production 20 AP-20 with a comprehensive plan designation of agricultural. Are there any people logged in, staff, to speak?
Let me take a look. Yeah, there's still just that Jeff McKee guy. I don't know. He doesn't seem to respond, but let me try again.
Okay.
Jeff, are you wanting to respond?
I am not. I'm good.
He's good.
Okay.
Okay, I'll declare CUP 2021-03 open. May we have a staff present the staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Wow, that was. I gotta not speak so loud. That's weird.
Oh.
Is it? Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is a request by Scott and Mary Maddox. Scott and Mary Maddox, 1781 Bellevue Road, Eltopia. It's a request to, just as you just stated, to do a commercial dog kennel / training facility. The commercial dog kennel is a little misleading. My understanding is that the only animals that will be kenneled at the facility are those being trained as service dogs. It's not like it's not like the one on Sagemore or Columbia River Road. You know, it's not that type of commercial kennel where anybody can come up. It's really just for these dogs they're going to be training. The property is addressed as, like I said, 1781 Bellevue Road, Eltopia, Washington. It's located approximately 4,000 feet south of Ringgold Road and is bounded to the west by Taylor Flats Road and an open skibbit irrigation canal east by Bellevue Road. And it's in the southwest corner of section 33 of Township 12, range 29, east-west meridian. It really is surrounded by a lot of farmland and not much else. There are some residential or at least developed parcels across the street from it, but it's generally pretty isolated. The property's overall size is 73.6 acres, but only about 35,000 square feet of the crops corner is going to be utilized for this. So if you were to look at the property along the, well, you can see it here in the aerial. This is inverted, so north is pointing towards that yellow access line you're seeing. Bellevue is west, which is showing as the north orientation in this drawing. But there's already a house and various outbuildings out there. The package shows some pictures. If I remember right, did we include the pictures? Yes, we did. It looks like, you know, there's a lot of little outbuildings there. Not sure what that's about, but you know, it's all their land. So it's already developed pretty extensively for some sort of animals or other uses out there along that part. So this is in a little bit more. So the site plan shows the area in which the proposal is to be installed. An aerial photo of the site, including a portion of the developed area showing 5,000 square foot building, the dog run, septic system, and outdoor grass areas. What we're seeing here is what we call an elevation, or what you would see when you come to, this would be a new building. And this is the indoor kennel area, effectively, where the animals kept inside. Planning staff mailed technical review requests to technical agencies, notified everybody within 1 mile, published in the Franklin County Graphic, and posted the property on April 15th, 2021. The SEPA checklist included, and then staff, the lead agency responsible, reviewed the checklist, issued a determination of non-significance on April 15th, which was also published on April 15th. It was filed in SEPA number with the Department of Ecology SEPA registry. SEPA number 202102018. Comments on the threshold determination were due by April 29, 2021. Ecology provided comments on the SEPA, but there were no other comments and no appeals of the threshold determination. And we also received no public comments regarding this proposal. Applicable standards and codes, 17.10 AP20, Ag Protection 20 Zone, Chapter 17.82 Special Permits, Chapter 1804 State Environmental Policy Act Guidelines, and then the Franklin County Comprehensive Plan. As mentioned, no public comments were received asking about the proposal. Public Works has concluded that the proposed use will not have a significant impact on the county road system. Again, these are pretty standard. Approach permit is required for access to Franklin County roads per county road approach. So in that site plan that we were looking at, that yellow area is going to be developed, and you'll see that it flares out at when it connects up to Bellevue Road. It'll have to meet minimum requirements for private access road. And then again, utility extension crossing. Franklin County roads will be addressed at the time of application. BBC owner builder to contact BBC engineering department for availability of power to the proposed site. In other words, they're going to have to get together with them to figure out exactly how those structures will be connected, and that'll be between them and BBC to get power. Ecology submitted comments regarding the hazardous waste and toxic reduction program, water resources program, and SEPA. And that was really about, oh yeah, and the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation submitted comments regarding, and you guys see the attached letter. And I apologize. I have so many of these. I have to make sure that I'm looking at the right one when I speak. There are areas of potential concern with USBR. They just need to make sure that they don't, because of the proximity to some of their infrastructure, they have a concern. So those will have to be discussed with USBR and SCIBID. I'll get into that a little bit more in the conditions of approval or recommended conditions of approval. As mentioned, AP 20 zoning district, and this is in accordance with the goals and policies of Franklin County development regulations. The land is zoned AP 20. Kennel commercial is a listed conditional use permit in the AP 20, so it's been envisioned to be compatible with the area, providing any required conditions are met. And there are no critical areas mapped on the parcel, and no critical areas or buffers will be impacted by this proposal. The access to the facility will not adversely affect public infrastructure. I'm sorry, the proposal will not adversely affect public infrastructure. Access will be from Ditch Road. I'm getting a little punch drunk. I've been reading a lot lately here. And like I said, will not have a significant impact on our infrastructure, road infrastructure. The proposal will be constructed, maintained, operated to be in harmony with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity. Keeping of animals is really common out in the AP 20. 3A is not right because they are not putting in any fuel pumps. So as far as findings of fact go, 3A is not. That's a typo. I apologize for that. The general area consists of single-family homes, agricultural-related accessory structures, and active farms. There's also open ditches or irrigation canals, but that's mostly over on the east side of the property, if I recall correctly. The location, height of the structure, and the site design will not discourage the development of permitted uses on properties in the general vicinity or impair the value thereof. There's really not a whole lot around there except for the Maddox and their stuff. Except for there's a few structures across Bellevue Road about 500 to 700 feet away from the property. Operation in connection with the proposal will not be more objectionable. Again, primary concern related to commercial dog kennels is the noise produced by barking dogs. However, for the most part, the dogs will be kept, from what I understand, indoors. And then again, outdoor lighting shall adhere to dark sky standards. In other words, they're not going to be, they can't be shining lights on other people's property and stuff like that. And then the area zone AP 20, which allows for a wide variety of activities to occur, range of activities. The proposal will not endanger public health, safety, or general welfare if located where proposed. We got no comments in favor and no comments against as far as the public goes. The DNS, nobody challenged that, and a conditional use permit is required, and they've applied for such. Suggest conditions of approval. and, again, an approved conditional uses permit is required. They need to coordinate with BBEC regarding power. They need to comply with all the necessary regulations regarding federal and state standards for operating a commercial dog kennel. They'll need to get approach permits, meet the building code, and outdoor lighting shall be shielded down. And then again, we start getting into the basic conditions. For a facility like this, planning doesn't really have a lot of suggested conditions. It's a pretty standard operation. And I'm happy to answer any questions or we can amend as desired. And I apologize because again, up in the header, it says CUP 2021-05, and this is CUP 03. 2021-03, not 05. But yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Oh,
For
Mr.
staff?
Chair, this is Commissioner Link. I have a question for staff.
Yeah.
Is the applicant limiting themselves, as they say, it's a training facility for veteran first responder service dogs? If it was me, I'd put in just a commercial dog kennel for training. That way I could expand my ability to train.
Yes, this is their application language. I would not word it otherwise. I would have just called it a dog kennel. Because that, as you mentioned, gives them the widest, but I think they want to make clear that this is a special facility. It's not just and I believe they're here, aren't they?
Yeah, they're.
Okay, I see there.
She's been very patiently waiting.
She has. But yeah, this is their language. I'm just regurgitating it. So, did you want to ask her?
Yes.
Clarification.
Can I pass that? I don't see her, so.
Oh.
Did you hear the question?
Yes.
Yes.
So, can I just briefly go what we're doing? Then that gives you guys the idea what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are a nonprofit 501c3, train and raise and train service dogs for veterans coming home with PTSD and other disabilities. And we do actually train some of their dogs that are at home with them so that when their service dog does go home with them, it doesn't undo the training of the service dog itself. We've been here for 7 years. We've put out over 40 dogs with 100% rate of nobody dying or killing themselves. We have given 2 dogs out to police, first responders, and that's what we do. We're here to help.
Well, the comment is that you may be limiting yourself with the language that you've put there.
Well,
Yeah, but
I think maybe so a little bit because, like I said, we do help train their dogs too that come here, because those dogs can undo the training of the service dogs, and so everything has to be working for that dog to be working. Our standards are quite high. So yes, we do train other dogs because we need to.
Right, but there, if I may, just so I make sure that I understand too, though you train other dogs, it's only dogs in relation to this. Basically, you're a 501c3 that is funded to provide this service to veterans and first responders. And in order for their service animals to, sometimes you'll be training other animals, but you're not, because of your 501c3 status, you're not able to really go much beyond what you're.
Not for service peace warriors.
Right.
So we do, Chance, my son, and I do train a couple of other dogs under Maddox Dog Training Academy, which we started, I think, last year. to help subsidize the money for service peace warriors, because with the COVID happening, we were having a lot of problems fundraising and getting grants. Those are starting to pick up now. So we work with Mikey Chance Canine Rescue in town too and help them out.
Go ahead.
Well, I think I'm making your point. You are doing it, and if somebody pushed it, you'd be in violation of your CUP.
I don't
I'm trying to help
understand.
you here.
Okay, I don't understand what that means.
Okay, basically what he's recommending is that we just push this as a commercial dog kennel. And we draw
Okay.
a training facility, and we can articulate that, and maybe if through question, is that what I'm hearing you say, Mr. Lank?
Yes, because I think that they are limiting themselves. If somebody finds out that they're doing that, they can make an issue out of it. Whereas if you say that it's a commercial dog training kennel, you're safe to do what you are doing right now.
Okay, I just want to be honest with what we're doing out here, because we're trying to, you know, find every penny we can to help these guys and gals.
Yeah, that's
I think
if
that's
that's
what
how,
we're trying to help you with.
yeah,
Okay,
and if
and I
that's-
appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
yeah, if you'd like to go with the broad, we can do that when we present this to the board. We can do something with that language. Make it
Okay.
better. Yep.
And I appreciate that.
Anything else?
Any other discussion for Mary? Any questions?
I don't have any other questions.
Any clarification that needs to be done?
I have one.
Okay,
Commissioner, the steel, it says the building is a steel building. Is that an engineered building? Engineered structure? The steel building?
Generally, that would be the case.
It's not a pole building, it's an engineered steel building then.
Oh, yes, I believe so. The Jeff McGee that's been on listening, he is the one that's helping us design it.
Oh, okay.
Here, yeah, why don't I let him speak because he has his hand raised.
Okay.
All right, you're unmuted, Jeff.
Yeah, no, that is an engineered steel building.
Okay.
Thank you.
I train dogs, I don't build buildings, sorry.
any other clarification or discussions? Well, then I'll close the public hearing and testimony and discussion amongst commissioners themselves.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Hearing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we forward to the Board of County Commissioners a recommendation of approval of CUP 2021-03 with the 6 adopted findings of fact and the 13 conditions of approval, with 3A deleted out of the findings of fact because there's no fuel stations.
Okay, is there a second?
That would be 12 conditions of approval, correct?
Now, 3A is a sub condition.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there was 12 total conditions of approval, 13.
No, there's 13.
There's 13.
Okay. All right. I will second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
Would we lose somebody?
Roger, you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, you're just.
We can see your lips moving.
Do we need to enumerate that It is for a commercial dog kennel training facility. Service dogs.
If I have that in my notes, again, it's just, I just won't include all that when I prepare the staff report for the board.
It might be a good idea to, just as a matter of order, it might be appropriate to amend that to include that, Roger. Does that make sense?
I think, yeah, we can do it that way. Yep.
And then I will offer a friendly amendment to the motion. To that effect.
To include a commercial. dog
To
kennel.
eliminate, that it's just for a commercial dog kennel.
Okay,
/ training facility.
Right.
Second.
okay. Any more discussion? Okay, we'll have a roll call. Derek?
Mike Vincent,
Yes.
Roger Lank,
Yes.
Layton Lowe,
Yes.
Claude Perrette,
Yes.
Kent McMullen,
Yes.
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
and we still don't have Miss Didier. Okay. Okay, that's 6.
Okay, it's passed. And thank you, Mary, for hanging with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 5.
Okay.
Is a public hearing for file CUP 2021-04 application to allow for a deviation of accessory structure standards in the suburban RS20 zone. Applicant seeks to deviate from the following Franklin County codes: FCC 17.28.050, D1 and 2, and FCC 17.28.050 F2. Applicant is replacing and expanding an existing accessory structure located at the end of a dead end access drive. Proposed structure will have a footprint of 30 feet by 30 feet and a roof height of 25 feet. Reasons for needing deviation listed by applicant are lot dimension limitations and location of drain fields. Is there anyone logged in to speak in this favor of this?
Nah, just the applicant, but he's there, so yeah, we're good.
Well, then maybe have staff present a report.
Thank you, Chair. As stated, this is a request to deviate from the standards associated with the limitations of accessory structures located in the RS20 zone, as well as setbacks and some other situations associated with this property. Long and short is that at the end of this access drive, that ends at the applicant's property, it turns and there's a building already in place at the end of that access drive. It's been there, I don't know how long, as you can see in this. So again, the orientation's a little off in that these white structures that we're seeing, those are actually, oh, there we go. It's been, that's, well, there we go. That's the orientation. So you come in, It's a 4-lot access drive that terminates right at the property line. Then everything from there on is actually the applicant's driveway. There's an existing building there that's used for storage. It's pretty old. The applicant's seeking to refresh that with a newer building. But as constructed and as cited, it does not, it already, the existing building is encroaching within the setbacks associated with the property. It's only about 10 foot in the rear and 5 foot in the north property line. The applicant is seeking to basically drop the building, the new building, right in that same location. When we look at the property, it's pretty encumbered. It's been there a while. The original septic, that drain field's done. And they're now having to utilize the reserve drain field. No access really, because you can't drive across that drain field to get to the back. The applicants tried to get additional land or property from one of the surrounding landowners. Just wasn't able to do that. So that's why we're here, when we're looking to deviate from the standard rules in the RS20 zone for a accessory structure. It's basically goes like this. You take the square footage of the roof line of the primary residence, you divide that by 2, you add 1,000, and that's how much of the property, how much can be covered in accessory structures that are permitted. They're limited to 2 regardless of the size, and then 2 what we call non-permitted or less than 200 square foot accessory structures as well. So for a grand total of 4. However, he can really only fit this one building on the property. He's only looking at 900 square foot, which is well within the square footage parameters associated with the house and everything. We also have what we call the 1680 rule. That has to do with matching materials and colors and stuff like that to the primary structure. This one wouldn't hit that. They would just have to match colors. So right now the existing, if I recall correctly, is teal blue, and it doesn't really match anything. This, if approved, he would have to match this new building to basically his primary structure. Directly behind it on the other property is a pretty significant outbuilding as well. That comes relevant to some comments we received from Pasco regarding access and road, but I think they got confused because this isn't a road, it's a private access easement that terminates at the edge of his property, and there is no road that I'm aware of. There's a road a few blocks to the east that could potentially, in theory, punch through there, but there's already existing structures that would be intervening. So I'm not sure how allowing him to put in a new building in the same place he's got another building would interfere with that. But current property size is approximately 1/2 acre. It's low density residential within the city of Pasco UGA. It's comp plan designation, and it's residential suburban 20 RS20. Staff does recommend a positive recommendation with 6 suggested findings of fact and 9 suggested conditions of approval. So this would, upon completion, would make about 24% of the property to be covered by both the proposed structure and the house currently on the property. You're limited to 40%. You're not allowed to go beyond that. No more than 40% of a property shall be covered in structures. The applicant is replacing and expanding that existing accessory structure of approximately 120 square foot in size, and it's located at the end of a dead-end access drive. Also, another deviation is a request to go to 25-foot peak. In the RS20 zone, you're limited to 18 foot as measured at the midpoint of the roof. That's usually a peak height of around 21 or 22 feet, depending on the slope of the roof. This request is also seeking to go above that. So there's two really things that we're looking at here. That's the setbacks and the roof height deviation. Our code does allow for a request by a landowner to go beyond the requirements or the limitations of the administrative limitations associated with accessory structures, and to appeal to the Board of County Commission for a deviation. That's what this applicant has done. And the proposed purpose is for personal vehicles and, other residential materials and items. The applicant also stated that he had tried to procure some adjacent property, but was unable to obtain. So he's done what he could without going through this, but this is where we are today. The project noise during construction would be, what we would normally experience with the construction of a structure in a residential area. There's a residence on the property, and the existing shed would be replaced. The site plan shows asphalt driveway, existing house. It also shows that red arc, if I recall, that the location of the septic tank drain field, and then where the 30 by 30 by 25 foot structure would replace the existing shed. Because of the CUP, we went out for SEPA in full review. And the technical agencies were mailed requests for review. Property owners within 500 feet were notified. Public notice was published in the Franklin County Graphic, and a sign was posted on the property. All of that was done on April 8th, 2021. SEPA was also, DNS was issued also on April 8th, and is under file number SEPA 202-101-789, and comments were due by April 22nd on the SEPA DNS. Again, we got a letter from Ecology regarding this, but there were no appeals of the DNS. We received one public comment filed in support of the proposal. We also received a comment that was asking questions about it. And staff provided a response, but we haven't heard anything back, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no counter response by the person that asked those questions. Due to the value, an approach permit is required. This probably has to do with the valuation threshold requirements for a new approach permit. That's the opportunity for the county public works just to make sure that everything is doing what it needs to do, and the new structure isn't going to cause some sort of impact to the system or require a change in the way the approach has been designed. The Department of Ecology is, again, it's that standard regarding the hazards, Hazardous Materials Act and SEPA, and just like what we heard in the last two CUPs. We received comments from the City of Pasco's. They were City of Pasco. They were received on April 22nd. However, they primarily, like I said, discussed how this building would make it so that they wouldn't be able to put a road through, but there's already a building there. In fact, there's a building behind it that's on another property, a current property owner. So, we don't really see at this point in time, if the city really needs to put a road through there, they would have methods. But this 30 by 30 structure really isn't the biggest structure that they're going to have to deal with. There's other ones. So there's already intervening stuff that kind of makes their comments at this point in time not something that we can really enforce, because if we deny it, he'll just leave his building there. And the same result's the same. They would need a building permit, of course, as any other structure. They would have to comply with the 2018 residential code. And they, as I kind of mentioned earlier with the 1680 rule and stuff like that, in accordance with FCC 17.28030A2 II, the accessory structure shall be compatible, similar color of roofing and siding materials in relation to the primary home. So, suggested findings of fact are, again, it's in the RS20 zoning district. The proposal is in accordance with the goals and policies. We don't have anything that prohibits parties from building accessory structures. This would be the only accessory structure on the property that's permitted. Now, the deviation on the setbacks requires a conditional use permit and the height of the accessory structure. So they've applied for those. It's a dry building, so there, and it's, again, it's not adding to the system. It's Public Works has determined that it's not anticipated that the use will have a significant impact on the county road system. The proposal will be constructed, maintained, and operated to be in harmony with the existing or intended. We already have an existing structure there. They're really just trying to kind of expand that footprint a little bit. The building behind it is 30 by 36 foot. That's on the other property. It shouldn't affect anybody's ability to continue with their normal operations. It's not going to block views, anything like that. The location and height of the proposed structure and the site design will not discourage the development of permitted uses on properties in the general vicinity. It's not going to be any more objectionable to the other uses. Again, it's pretty standard to have accessory structures. It's just the strange orientation of this property kind of creates this dynamic of where we're looking to place it in the front yard. Right? It's kind of the front side yard. With these dead end lots like that, that starts getting a little weird to try to articulate and explain out. And it will not endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. So one of the concerns may be regarding the, I don't know, so in order to encroach into these setback areas, they're going to need to, due to the fire code and the residential code is going to require that they, and local code, they put what's known as intervening firewalls in. So on the north and the north side, definitely, potentially on the rear side, they'll have to put in more robust firewalls than the standard under the IRC. That would be a condition, not necessarily listed in the conditional use permit, but would be a condition of the build when they actually submit for review. Because that has to do with the fire code. As already mentioned, it'll be compatible. So again, the structure will better blend with the existing structure, the residence, the primary. So suggested conditions of approval, building permits will be required, accessory structures shall comply with the IRC and shall be compatible with the primary. An approach permit is required. Any utility extension crossing Franklin County roads will be addressed. I don't believe there should be a need for that, but we'll address that at the time of the build. Site shall be maintained at all times so as not to let the land become a fire. And then again, we get into the standard stuff. A comply with fire code requirements. Number 4, for the wall with the reduced setback of 5 feet. the applicant will need to either install an intervening firewall or receive fire district approval to deviate from this requirement. And then the rest starts getting again into your standard CUP language. Nothing new there for a grand total of 9 suggested conditions of approval. And I'm happy to answer questions. And I believe the applicant is stuck with us. So, any questions?
Is the applicant there to speak or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay. Well,
You want to go ahead and speak to the matter?
why don't we hear from the applicant?
Okay. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear me on this matter and all the work you've done for me. I have contacted the neighbor to the north and to the west, and neither one is willing to sell property. My neighbor to the east is willing to sell. However, his mortgage company is not willing to. The neighbor to the south, I haven't even approached him because I don't have any vehicular access to the south. I've also looked into abandoning my septic system and hooking to the city sewer, but I'm over 500 feet from the city sewer line. And I think it'll be cost prohibitive for me to do that at this point. So that's basically the reasons why I'm asking for the CUP so I can build my garage.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Or staff too, for that matter?
Yes, this is Commissioner McMullen. I would curious as to why such a height for the building. Are you parking an RV inside, or is there more than one level for the building?
Well, actually, I would like to get a larger footprint, but because of my septic system, I can't. The very largest I could get would be 30 by 30. So in that case, I'm asking to go higher, so I have some storage up above.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have anyone else to speak?
Aaron?
Yeah.
Anybody?
No. Actually, yeah, there's nobody.
Okay. Any clarifications that needs to be done?
Yeah, in the suggested motion, missed this, you got the wrong CUP on, I don't have the red number on mine, but it says CUP 20, it's 2021-04 if we're gonna go with that, but that's the only clarification I had.
Okay. Okay, then I'll close the public part of this, and we'll go to talking amongst ourselves. Is there any discussion that needs to be done? If not, then I would, does staff have any final comments before we entertain a motion?
No, sir.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Lake. I move to forward to the Board of Commissioners a positive recommendation of CUP 2021-04 with 6 findings of fact and 9 suggested conditions of approval.
Is there a second?
Commissioner McMullen, I will second.
Okay. Motion has been made by Commissioner Link, second by Commissioner McMullen. Any more discussion? Roll call, Derek, please.
Mike Vincent,
Yes.
Roger Lang,
Yes.
Leighton Lowe,
Yes, sorry, I was muted.
no, you're fine. Claude Perrette,
Yes.
Ken McMullen,
Yes.
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
And still no Jen or Melinda, so we have 6.
Okay, motion's been approved. Anything that we need to talk about? What about the bylaws?
I was just gonna bring, go ahead, whatever.
Talk about the paper.
Yeah, yeah. So, bylaws, we can set that for a workshop on, our next meeting, if that works for you guys.
Okay,
Okay. What?
Gonna say, because we're gonna talk about at some point of moving, but I guess we could always just shoot an email. The next meeting is supposed to be June 1st. And it's like the day after Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah, okay, so June's meeting is the day after Memorial Day. Is there an interest or desire to move that to the second Tuesday, or are we okay meeting the day after Memorial Day?
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one other thing, in the interest, as you saw, that pack was pretty thick. Those cost us $10 each to mail. And what I'm going to ask is if there's anybody that doesn't need a hard copy, to let us know. And we can deal with that offline. I don't need to know right now. But any of those that we don't, since we email them out, if there's any folks that are comfortable with that, because like I said, if possible, I'd like to minimize mailing out those big packets. But I also understand some folks, that's just how they want to do things. So,
email would be fine with me, Derek.
okay. Is there anybody that needs them in hard copy?
This is Commissioner Lang. Derek, I can use what we have. What would be nice, I think, for us is to use the bookmarked section. So it gives us the agenda, gives us the various items that are coming before us. And that way it's easier for us to find them. And then the recommendation that staff provides.
I see what you're saying. Okay. So in other words, if we're going to go all electronic, we need to make it a little more user friendly.
Right.
That would be helpful for me.
Right.
We can do that, right? We'll look into it.
Okay.
Well, you'll either get your packet with a bunch of tabs in it, or you'll get the normal one in a hard copy in the mail. No.
Okay.
Hey, Derek, this is Matt. The answer to that is yes, it can be done. We actually have the software that can do that fairly easily, and I'm more than willing to assist the planning staff in putting those packets together with the bookmarks. So.
Okay, then I'll get together with Matt and I've got Bluebeam, so I should be able to do that. I just don't know how to do it right at the moment.
That's okay. I'm willing to assist in that to make it as easy as possible for everybody.
Cool. All right.
Also, I know that you were unable because of some of the issues that we had with, but I think just as a matter of time with having a full load like this, that being able to have your presentation on the screen so that we can get all this in the record may save you a lot of talking time so that it's visual and it's in everybody's packet. Because that one I think was tough on everybody, including yourself, having to read through everything to make sure we got it part of the record. So
yeah, it's this. I'm having to use Aaron. I'm gonna have to get IT over here to find out what's going on with my camera and stuff. I'm on actually Aaron's Surface, and it doesn't have the PowerPoint loaded up.
Correct. Yeah. No, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I had. I'll shut up so that we can maybe adjourn this.
Yes. Any other comments? Okay. Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I adjourn the meeting.